All right, let's get our Dune on. It's so much fun to have a new IP. Now, many of you in the comment section to my trailer reaction said, I love the trailer visually, but it doesn't tell me at all what the movie is about. And I think Denis Villeneuve, someone's like, it's 2 syllables, Grace. I'm pretty sure it's Denis Villeneuve, but whatever. Denis Villeneuve is like, hey man, look at how gorgeous my movie is and look who's in it. What else do you need? But some of you are like, I need more. But to the trailer's credit, it gives away very little of the story. Even though they've now produced 2 3-minute-plus trailers, there's still so much that you don't know. So I'm going to try and fill you in a little bit here with no spoilers. And hey, Dune heads, be sure to weigh in, as I know you will down below. Try to be polite if you can. So what I would now, a number of people are also like, read the damn book. I don't want to read the book, and if you need to read the book to watch this movie, it's in a lot of trouble. However, what I would recommend, even though it's an awful film, is watching the David Lynch 1984 version. It's got a pretty impressive cast. You'll spend a lot of time being like, I can't believe that person's in this movie. Oh, look, that person's in this movie. And I'd say the first half of it's actually not bad, but then it gets awful. But it'll help you better understand this movie. There's also a television series, but that's gonna, I think, set you up to not like this because they have more time to tell the story. So just watch the 1984 movie. I did it, and I'm glad I did. Again, it was awful, but I think it was worth the investment of my time. All right, so here we go. So we open up with this beautiful, landscape of the desert. If deserts look that good, that looks really great. It almost looks like paper. And Zendaya, and I love Zendaya. She was so good in Space Jam. She was the best thing about that movie. And I think it's great that she gets to be in all these major franchises, but I'm sick of her having to be the girlfriend. I hope that for her next big movie, she is the star, and she's the lead, and she is taking care of business. So that's what I hope for Zendaya. So she's like, look at my beautiful planet, Arrakis. And this was a particularly nice thing that she said about how when the light is just right, you can see the spice in the wind. That's gorgeous, because Dune is a very strong commentary on colonialism. Everybody wants Arrakis for the spice. It's a natural resource, and you know how humans or humanoid aliens can ruin the environment for a valuable natural resource. But it also seems to be a very strong commentary on religion, politics. Oh boy! But don't worry, there's a lot of fighting and science fiction in there too, so it makes it palatable. A little sugar helps the medicine go down. But I just thought that was a really pretty way to point out that spice was such a nice thing for these people that was being twisted into something horrible by those who were trying to mine it. So the fact that it just dances in the wind. It's like, and spice is like a drug. So it's like, what a planet. You'd think it would be a party planet, but no, it's not. This is what's been done to it. So it's being ravaged by scientists, people who are mining it. And you can see, look at all the pollution already. Look what a beautiful clear day it just was. And now it's just a mess. They're saying it's the sand, but we don't believe it. It's probably a combination of the two. Look, that guy even needs a light. It's so bad. It needs a little lamp. But that's a cool image, boy. Isn't that just great? It's like Star Wars, but it's its own thing enough that you don't feel like it's ripping off Star Wars. That's hard to do. That's impressive. I really like it. So there are these dark, shadowy figures, and she's like, get off my planet! Too bad she needs some guy come help her do it. This was written in the 60s. So it does have Disney elements to it, right? She's kind of like a princess of her tribe. And, Timothée Chalamet, who looks very Disney prince, he is the prince of House Atreides. Anyway, you can see that her eyes are a little blue here. It's not as easy to see. This is the lighting on this film is all over the place. But if you use spice, your eyes turn like this bright blue. So keep that in mind for the final shot in the trailer. So look, what a mess. So it's also about environmentalism. Now that's interesting to me. Based on what I remember for the 1984 movie, and I don't remember a lot of the third act because it was just a mess. But I believe there was a big fight. So they're making it look like this is an environmental work problem, but I believe they've spliced in shots from a battle sequence. So we'll see. But that's really cool. Boy, this is not a good ad for going to work on Arrakis. And so these are the Harkonnens. And we'll talk about them a little more as the trailer unfolds. But here is one of the Harkonnen enforcers, of course, Dave Bautista. His character is Beast Rabban. They're a pale people. Something's wrong with the top of his head, too. All right. This was they were very oddly portrayed and somewhat controversially portrayed in the David Lynch film. So I'll be curious to see what Denis Villeneuve decides to do here. But Dave Bautista, boy, he gets to be in Denis Villeneuve movies all the time. As I said, Dave Bautista in glasses is one of my favorite subgenres, so I enjoyed seeing him in Blade Runner. So you see a couple quick shots about just this planet's just a mess. And, you know, violence has erupted. You see the blood on the knife. And then that's a great shot of the planet because, of course, sometimes you might be at different sides of the planet. But whenever usually we see things in movies, the planet's down at the bottom, like in Star Wars, right? But coming up underneath the planet is pretty interesting. I like that. I think that's a really cool, I mean, that's one of these shots where you're like, you got to see it in IMAX, right? They should have like a little, Denis Villeneuve pops in and goes, go see it in IMAX. I made a really big effort here. All right. So see, these are simpler times when she didn't have to wear all that stuff. Everything was healthy and happy. And she's coming to Paul Atreides, Timothée Chalamet's character, in his dreams. And, you know, it's so dark in this room, but if it wasn't, they turned the lights on, you could see the beautiful detail work of that bed. He's got bed money. So something that's important to know about Paul Atreides is that his mother, Lady Jessica, is a member of the Bene Gesserit. And her task was to have a daughter, but she had a son. And she was supposed to pass on her powers of, you know, being able to see the future. And she did pass them on to her son. So he's kind of like a hybrid. So that's important because he keeps talking about dreams. And Duncan Idaho, as you're about to see, is like, oh, dreams are stupid. They're nice for you, but don't put any faith in them. But it's like, no, they're actually for you, Paul Atreides. You're seeing the future. Warner Brothers is like, am I seeing the future of a major franchise? Some of you were like, oh, this is Legendary's franchise. But still, Warner Brothers is the distributor. And as you can see from that's being stuck on HBO Max, they have a lot of control over it. It's going to go to both places. Now look at that shot. That's gorgeous. Look, it's like a blade of a ship cutting the water. Oh, I want to fly that. That's incredible. You can barely even see it. It's so sharp. And it's got a sharp pilot, Duncan Idaho, wearing a very futuristic style pilot's outfit, which is fun. It kind of gives a cool look to this. You're like, is it the future? Is it the past? That's all. Star Wars was always like, hey, maybe we're the future. And I was like, no, I don't. Or no, they were like, maybe we're the past. And I was like, why would we lose all that technology? And so I never really kind of bought that. But so I think this is, you know, it does make it seem like it gives you like a hook to it. So this is interesting because look, he's got a beard and a mustache. He doesn't in a lot of the other shots. And it's confirmed that Dune did some reshoots. And this is a humorous exchange. So I think maybe in some test screenings, people might have been like, lighten up a little bit, Dune. So they were like, you know who can lighten up the room? Jason Momoa. So maybe they added a couple of sequences. And I have to say, I like this. And so I think that was a good idea. So look at Timothée Chalamet. His hair is a little off here too. What did everybody do when they left the set? Denis Villeneuve is like, I left you alone for a few months and you all lost your looks from the original shoot. So he's telling him that he had some dreams. I was like, was it a dream about hair gel and how you should get some? He's like, I'm dreaming about a girl. And I'm like, way to bury the lead, man. You know, I think, you know, it makes it just seem like you had a sexy dream. Not like it was important to your future. And I liked Duncan Idaho's advice when he said, you know, dreams are nice, but everything that's important happens when we're awake. And again, he doesn't understand Paul Atreides' background. So then he gives a little joke about, did you put on muscle? And he's like, do you think I did? And he's like, of course not. And I'm like, yeah, do you look in the mirror every morning, Paul? So I don't know why I think they're going to a meeting. Couldn't we just Zoom this? So they had to go get on their ship. This looks like it's designed by Steve Jobs. Rest in peace, Steve. This is a much nicer planet. But of course, they're not going to get assigned to this one. So they're going in front of their emperor, and they're wearing their finest. Lady Jessica, that's his mother. And then you can see Paul, and then their dad, Duke Leto, or Leto. I think it's Leto. So anyway, Jared Leto's like, why am I in this movie? It seems like, but I think he was in Blade Runner 2049. So he had his shot. So here you see Paul Atreides training with Josh Brolin's Gurney, who was played by Patrick Stewart in the 1984 film. And so he's training in his fight technique, and he's pretty good with the blade. That's going to come in real handy, as you're going to see. And they have this cool thing with force fields. It hits blue whenever it stops you. And it makes very visually interesting fight sequences. The 1984 graphics were hilarious, but this is really well realized. And he's like, you don't understand how dangerous the Harkonnens are. They'll kill you. And the Harkonnens are Dave Bautista, and you'll see their leader in a little bit later in this trailer. So they're like, they're brutal and vicious. And you're like, they're also sickos. You left that part out. I'd be like, no, seriously, they will mess you up. Don't get anywhere near one. All right, so they have this meeting. I'm not quite sure who this character is, but looks fantastic. Looks absolutely fantastic. Cool androgynous look. And so I don't know why he tells Gurney to smile when no one else is smiling. I'd be like, this doesn't seem to be a smiley meeting. Why do you want me to be the only smiling idiot standing here? So this is House Atreides leadership. So you've got their leader, Oscar Isaac's Duke Leto. Then on the left, you have Gurney, who's like military strategist. And on the right, you have Stephen McKinley Henderson, who's playing Thufir Hawat, who's basically like a living computer. And he's supposed to have like orange on his mouth, but I wonder if that, because from this juice they like to drink if you're a living computer. And I wonder if maybe that's what the black mark is on his lower lip. But he's basically like a living computer. And every house has one, as you're going to see. I love that little pod. It's very Arrival. Boop. That's a great shot, too. Welcome to your new home. My God, the Emperor roses for this one. And so over this, Oscar Isaac's like, if the Emperor wants us to bring peace to Arrakis, then we shall do it. And I'm like, way to overpromise, man. I'd be to the Emperor, I'd be like, I'll see what I can do. But it's a real show down there, obviously, which is why you're sending me. Did I do something to offend you that this is why I got this assignment? If so, I'm very sorry. That's like how Rebecca Ferguson looks in that shot. She's like, remember the prophecy, darn it, this is ridiculous. So here he sees the girl from his dreams. I'm sorry, woman, thank you very much. She's even more beautiful than he thought. And look, there's Spice dancing in the background. He's like, I don't know if it's the Spice talking or not, but let's get together. It would be tough to trust your emotions in that kind of a scenario. All right, so anyway, there are a couple quick shots. Fire. Then I think that's obviously Sandworm. Then that is a very quick shot of Stellan Skarsgård. We get a better shot of him in just a moment. That's a pretty fire. Oh, no, that's not. Oh, see, okay, there's a better explanation, a shot of this. But basically, the ships also have that. They didn't have that I don't think they had that in the 1984 movie. But the ships have the same force field that the people do. So when they get hit, they flicker blue, which was a great idea. Whoever came up with that in the VFX department is a genius. So there's Lady Jessica, maybe before she met Oscar Isaac's character. She's like, I used to write on my face a whole lot. Because again, remember, although this looks like she's been taking some spice. So maybe this is later on, and she's gone full Apocalypse Now. I forgot the name of the guy. I ruined my joke by not knowing the name. I forgot the name of Marlon Brando's character. Darn it. So anyway, she's a member of the Bene Gesserit. Remember these like evil nuns with powers. Although a lot of people have, we don't want to say anything bad about nuns, although they can be tough. Oh, there he's got one. So this is like, we saw this blade salute from the first trailer, but there's an even cooler blade shot later on. So like this October, believe it, it's gonna happen. So I love this shot. Like just the scope. You're like, wow, look at this. And I love the way these futuristic helicopters are flying over the city. The show of power. And he's like, yes, look at my army. Is this who I want to be? He got he had the hair gel today and it made a big difference. Thank you very much. Don't ever forget the hair gel, son. All right, so here's some weird religious stuff going on, right? So I'm not sure if this is the Bene Gesserit or not. But they're putting marks on these soldiers before they go into battle. And then, those guys wish they were going into battle, it seems. I'm not sure if this is House Atreides or if this is the Harkonnens. You know, I mean, it looks a little bit like Harkonnens here. But basically, neither house is maybe the best place. Both need a human resources division. All right, so these are the Harkonnens. And so there's Dave Bautista being like, I have no eyebrows. Oh, that's when he said the Harkonnens were evil. And so maybe that's a Harkonnen. At first I thought it was Ben Gesserit, but I think that's a Harkonnen. All right. They're weird guys. Weird peeps. So you can see everyone's mobilizing their forces. They're like, it's raining. Can we call this an account of rain? No. And then this shot is fantastic. Wow. I mean, I'm not even sure if it's got to be Timothée Chalamet, but it looks almost like veins, right? Like a human pulmonary system, but with energy. And I'm like, that's a good look for you, man. You look fantastic. I don't know if this is how his mother's seeing him, if this is their powers. I'll be really curious to see how they explain this. It was not in the other movie. Now here, we also hear the doctor say, Dr. Yu, played by Chang Chen, saying, Paul sees too much. He sees because of his gifts from his mother. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Now look, that's their living computer. I'm like, why does our living computer look so weird? Now that is David Dastmalchian, who after hearing his performance as Calendar Man in Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1, it instantly made me a David Dastmalchian fan. I'm like, he's a genius. I never got him before. I thought he was a Crispin Glover ripoff, but now I'm like, the guy's talented. So I'm very excited to see him in Suicide Squad, and I'm excited to see him here. Wow, he's got a lot of friends at Warner Brothers. They're in the Dastmalchian business too. And so he's playing Peter DeVries, who actually was played by Brad Dorfer, I believe, who does the voice of Chucky in the original film. So he is the House of Harkonnen. He's their living computer. And there's their leader, played by Stellan Skarsgård, the Baron. And he's so obese that he can no longer move on his own accord. There's a commentator. That's like Wall-E. Remember in Wall-E, they were like, cupcakes in a mug. How horrible is that? And then somebody was like, that's a great idea. And they have become a reality. All right, so anyway, this is like low-key, considering compared to how this character was portrayed in the 1984 movie. So he's like, so the Baron says in that scene, I want my due, kill them all. So he wants to take out the House Atreides. So some of you are like, who's even the villain here? Well, it's colonialism and industrialization, but it's also Baron Harkonnen, Baron Harkonnen. All right, so we see all these cool ships fighting, and we see what looks like the Death Star. Oh no, crossover! There's Duncan Idaho with his beard and mustache shaved. At least they didn't try to take it off digitally like with poor Henry Cavill. Those helicopters look like bugs. Isn't that cool, actually? They look like dragonflies. Don't fly into the light, dragonfly! And then Josh Brolin has a great line. He's like, anything with guns into the air. Quick, take the guns off our ship. All right, so look at that explosion. And look how it ripples with the force field. That is like amazing. Look at everybody running. Run to something with a force field. Wouldn't it be horrible if you tried to get in and then you bumped off the force field? It's like, oh, these are too good. So it's going poorly. It's not going well. The soldiers, who's fighting who? Now, this is important scenes from the movie, but I don't want to give anything away. So, a lot of quick shots of epicness. Duncan Idaho taking out some people in the dark, but the blue shields, force fields, give this scene a really cool look to it again. I don't think you could overuse those force shields, quite frankly. They're a beautiful color blue. So I believe this is them leaving their planet to go to Arrakis, and they decide to look out the back door, leave the trunk open, man. And they're like, man, it was good while it lasted. Look at that cape in the wind. There's the song title for you. All right, so he's talking to his father. Forgot the hair gel again. I wonder if we can tell reshoots from not, depending on how the look of the characters is. But anyway, he's like, I don't know if I'm a leader. And this is a pretty good exchange. And his father's like, good men don't want to lead, they're called to it. He's like, by a dream, maybe? And he's like, I still don't know, Dad. I don't know if I want to do it. And there's like, wow, is this some dark stuff. He's like, Dad, I can't see anything. I can't make decisions as a leader. I think they're looking into the face of a sandworm. Wouldn't that be, you're like standing in the desert being like, I think it's the sandworm. All right. And he says, you know, even if you're not a leader, the only thing that you need to be, you've always been the thing that you have needed you to be, and that's my son. And you're like, the tears, Oscar Isaac, the tears. Now this, one shot of this character. This is, hold on, Liet Kynes, who is a scientist who has been studying Arrakis before House Atreides arrives. So she's kind of like the middle ground between Zendaya's, the Fremen, Zendaya's people, and House Atreides. So you see she's taking spice. What is this? So dark. Fighting in the dark. I feel like I'm reading song titles from the album. You can see some of the, I think when the force field goes red, that means you've been killed, maybe? Oh, that would be bad. All right. So he's like, will you protect our son? And she's like, with my life. And she means it, as you'll find out. Don't worry, that's not a spoiler. All right, so, did everybody just die there? I'm curious. Maybe it's just a warning shot. I hope so. All right. I would hack into my my suit, my force field, and I would make it go red when I was just hit, and then you can just play dead, and then you can snicker while the person walks away. So here's Duncan Idaho taking everybody down. Oh, romance. You gotta have one in every epic. So they're her people. It's like, I'm gonna join you guys. My people suck. And so look, there's a big fight. I don't know why they're both wearing white. That was bad. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea, but they have like little, look at that guy. Look, it's like gymnastic fighting. Look at that guy do that twist. Wow. Did Paul Atreides do that? I'd be like, Gurney, you were worth every penny training that kid. So look, he takes on that person. It's like white versus beige. We're wearing different colors. What are you talking about? Look, he's got a harness on his back to maybe hold more than one blade. So he pulls it out, and then he takes down his visor because he's like, yeah, it's me in here. Is it though? It might be just CGI, but I don't care. But he looks like his eyes are a little blue. Oh, they got even more blue in it. That's a great shot though. Everybody used that for the poster frame because it was fantastic. And so that's the best shot though. So look, see, he's got blue eyes here too. He's sampling his own product. And they both look fantastic. They both look like a hair commercial. They look so great. Soft, luxurious locks. They're commercial for spice. And then they're like, Dune, and they have some really great music with people singing, and it's really great. And you're like, oh, it's so good. So I think it's really a good trailer. I think it's excellent. I don't know if you're going to understand everything. I don't know if you can understand everything in the movie, but I think it's going to be real interesting. And I think, again, I would take the time to watch maybe if you want to read the book, go ahead. But I think visually, I think, at least for me, it sinks in better. So I would check out the 1984 film, but don't make it like your big thing, like your big thing of the day or the evening, because remember, the second half of it's pretty bad. All right, so share your thoughts down below. Thanks for going over this trailer with me. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.